Let's do non-Clemson wishes. So we're going to do 3 wishes from the genie, non-Clemson wishes first. And the rule is, Alan, they have to be positive. We're not going to wish any negative. I don't want any bad mojo for us, for Clemson, for anybody going into this season wishing 3 negatives. It'd be real easy to wish 3 negatives on the team in Columbia, but I want to say positives. All right.
Well, you got to say, I mean, when you're wishing positive on somebody, you're wishing negative on somebody else.
All right, now we're not getting philosophical here, okay? We're
I'm a
just trying to be
philosophizer.
positive.
So, all right, my number one, I don't know if this is fair or not anymore. My number one non-Clemson wish is that App State upset South Carolina, okay? Because I'm pulling for App State. All right, so it's not a negative. It's just a positive for App State. All right, everybody likes to overlook these type of games. Okay, App State is a program that kind of dominated the FCS for a while, and they kind of moved up with the big boys a few years ago. Really got put on the map when they beat Michigan all those years ago. So a team you always kind of got to look out for. You kind of got to be wary of ever since that moment. They have the ability to pull the upset. They're a pretty talented team, but everybody wants to overlook it. Of course, it's just. It'd be really cool to see them go in and take that game from South Carolina for sure. It's always good to see a game taken from South Carolina, but especially from a team like App State.
Let us know in the comments what your 3 wishes are for teams that are not Clemson. But I've got a feeling that Alan's going to wish bad luck on South Carolina by wishing positive on every other team that they play. So, Alan, I hope you change it up just a little bit, just a little for us.
Just for you.
So put it in the comments what you really wish for teams that are not Clemson this year, and something positive, not something negative. No bad juju before we start the season tomorrow night. My number one is I want to see LSU beat Alabama on November 9th in Tuscaloosa. I think it'd be great for Alabama and LSU to go at it and battle it out, and I really want to see LSU beat them up. I want to see a team from their division give them a test. And if you look at Alabama's schedule, they can't say nothing about the ACC with the schedule they have this year. They have, if you look at their home schedule, they're projected to win just about 95% of every single game is their win expectancy for every single home game this year. The only team that's going to give them a chance or give them a run is LSU at home later on this year. So I want LSU to take advantage of that and really knock them down. Now, I know they don't have the offense right now. They're revamping it. They're trying to get this read option going. I get it. They got the defense. They got a good, decent running back. I know it's not going to be easy for them, but I'd love to see Alabama get 1 loss in the season against LSU at home. I think that'd be great. And then I'd like to see Alabama just turn around and get another loss in the SEC championship. See you later. Watch us on TV in 2020. That's what I would like.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'm not going to say I fully agree with that, but I'm okay with that. I will allow it. I don't mind LSU beating Alabama. I have number 2. This is a relatively unrealistic wish, and I understand that, but it's a wish, right? Are they supposed to be realistic? I'm not really sure. I want anybody but UGA to win the East, okay? Because I don't like Georgia. Everybody knows I don't like Georgia, and any Clemson fan that's a true Clemson fan, no offense, Morgan, should not like Georgia, okay? We battle head-to-head with Georgia all the time in recruiting, okay? And I'm so sick of them stealing our offensive linemen, all right? They get the top offensive linemen every single year, and it sickens me. I want to get a couple of those, and the worse they look, the better we look, okay? So anybody, I'm putting positive vibes out there for the Missouris of the world, the Kentuckys of the world, Tennessee, Florida, all those type of people, okay? So anybody but Georgia and, of course, South Carolina to win the East is my wish number 2.
Well, I told you, and everybody's been getting on to me on YouTube in the comments about, oh, Morgan, you can't hate, you're not hating on Georgia enough. You're not, you can't say you like Georgia. Here's the deal.
Right.
My aunt that I love with all my heart, she's just an amazing person. She went to Georgia, and so I can't hate Georgia that much. I know this sounds crazy, but it's a family tie there. I guess I don't necessarily. I mean, I have friends that are Georgia fans. The Moons and the Fields. They love the Bulldogs, and I have some friends at church that love the Bulldogs. So I just can't hate on them that much. Maybe a lot of the bitterness is from the old school fans that remember the 80s and the 90s, and I don't know, man. We don't play them really. I mean, when's the next time we play them? I know it's going to be a couple of years from now, so I don't hate them like I guess I should. I know you tell me I should, and everybody loves you for it. I get it. I get it. But so my number 2 And that's interesting because I did pick Georgia. Your pick. I did pick Georgia to beat Alabama in the SEC championship. If you noticed on ClemsonJunkies.com.
Right.
So I bet you hated that too.
I'm pretty sure I picked him as well. That just doesn't mean I like it.
So my number 2 is I actually really want to see Jalen Hurts do well in the Big 12. I know a lot of people are saying that he doesn't have the arm for the Big 12. He's just a running quarterback. He's just kind of lost his job at Alabama to Tua. But hey, man, he showed out in the SEC championship game when they needed him the most. And I respect players who sit there and even though they lose their job, they don't jump around. They don't go in the transfer portal immediately. He was a respectable player, didn't get into trouble. He stayed with the team and saw the season through, and then he transferred. And I respect that. You graduate from the university that you start with, and then you transfer if the stars didn't align for you to be in the starter. With a quarterback, I don't blame you for leaving when there's only one position. Running back too, I don't blame you for leaving when there's only really one starter. For me, I'm not beating him up about that. I'm not beating him up, especially when you graduate. But I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he can't hang. But I think Lincoln Riley's going to be able to prove that he can coach up some quarterbacks. I don't want him to win the Heisman because I want somebody from Clemson. Oh, I'm already telling you what my other genie list is. I'm not going to go there. But yeah, Oklahoma's schedules, they can't say anything about the ACC either. They've got Iowa State as a ranked team, and then they've got Texas, I believe, is the other ranked team, and that's it. So, big beefy schedule there for the Big 12, but I want to see Jalen Hurts do well. I'm not saying I want Oklahoma in the playoffs. I just want Jalen Hurts to do well.
Right. No, that's fair enough. I think you got to root for a guy like that and all he did at Alabama and the way he handled himself. I would agree with that. I think it's a good wish. My third wish is that any team from the Big 10 or Pac-12 make it to the playoffs. Okay. It's time for somebody to step up after a 2-year hiatus. Okay. Really, most importantly, I want somebody to step up so that we can kick out the second SEC team. Okay. Because we all know they're going to put the second best SEC team in there, regardless of how many losses they have or how bad they look or whatever it may be. Now, unfortunately, I don't think this year they're going to be bad. If there was a second SEC team, it'd probably be worth it. I would imagine it would be Georgia or Bama. But still, I'm rooting for somebody else to kind of sneak their way in there so that they can do some damage. Get a Ohio State in there. I don't care. Get a Michigan, Washington, Oregon. I don't care. It doesn't really matter. But just kind of, they hadn't been there in a couple of years. I don't want them to kind of pick their ball up and go home and leave the Power Five. So it'd be nice for them to get some spotlight here.
That's interesting you say that. Do you think that what do you think? Do you think that there needs to be more teams in the playoff, like an 8-team playoff?
Yeah, I've always been an 8-team playoff guy. I was probably more of a 16 playoff guy, and then when Clemson got really good, it's like, you know what, we really don't want more teams. We really don't want any more than 2 or 4 right now. But the fact of the matter is, more football is a good thing, and more playoff football is a great thing. So I'm all for 8 teams, regardless of whether it hurts Clemson's chances. They got to play one more tough game. I don't care. It's good football. I want to play good football. I want to watch good football. So, yeah, I'm all for having 18 playoff. I think that's the way it needs to be.
I'm a little indifferent right now. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I mean, I don't want these teams like the Clemsons to have to play 5 more games after their regular season. I just, I know it's not 5 more games. I get it. I'm just exaggerating. But, these guys are still college kids, still not guaranteed to go to the NFL. I know that, I would hate to see somebody like Travis Etienne get worn out because of the playoff being expanded and then hurt his chances for the NFL. These guys got to make a living if they're good enough, and I respect that in a sense too. But I can see where everybody's coming from the playoffs perspective. It doesn't seem to hurt basketball too bad. I mean, they got 5,000 teams in that playoff, but but football is obviously more of a contact. I mean, a more physical sport, so it's a little bit more difficult to make them play so many more games. But especially when they're not getting some money for it, for sure. But let me give you my number 3. My number 3 is something kind of more personal too. Probably people aren't really thinking about, but Army. So I'm an Army veteran, right. And so I love watching Army Navy. It's a game I grew up watching with my grandfather, and was one of the reasons why I enjoyed the military service so much, watching those games as a kid. But Army, they won 11 games last year, Al, which
Yeah,
is amazing to
good
say.
team.
But they've got a pretty decent schedule this year, a pretty favorable schedule this year as well. They only have really one marquee team to play other than the service academies, and that is Michigan. They have to
Yeah,
go to the big house over there, not the big house, but Ann Arbor, and beat Michigan, try to beat Michigan, right? And so they have to go to Ann Arbor and take on Michigan, and I just hate Jim Harbaugh. I mean, I
yeah.
really don't like the guy. I think he looks weird in his pants, and he's constantly taking his teams to other countries like Italy and things like that, trying to show off. And I'm sure he's paying some players. I don't know. I just don't like the way he acts as a coach. I don't like the way he recruits as a coach. I don't like the minute he takes over, it's like they're back. It's big absolute again. Oh, they're back, and they really haven't proven that. A lot of people are saying Michigan, this is their year to beat Ohio State and go to the playoffs, but not if Army beats them. And so I'm picking Army. I want Army to get that win and maybe even go undefeated this year. Man, it'd be crazy to think a service academy in 2019 could go undefeated. But I'm going for the Black Knights there.
Yeah, they could very well win that game. I mean, Michigan, I always think Michigan's overrated every year. It seems like they win more than they should every year. And I think Army's a great team. They may well win 11 games again this year, but I certainly think they have a good shot at that.